1 to 9 F divorcing my husband to 8 M for suggesting an open marriage. Complicated feelings said it. Update. Hello, all. I wanted to say thank you all for the support. As for the update, where do I even start? It has officially been over the required 90 days since initially filing for divorce before it can be deemed official. I am going to the courthouse tomorrow to file the remaining paperwork. We had an easy, uncontested divorce. We agreed on pretty much everything, and he didn't even give me a hard time about taking our two cats that are quite attached to me. He was always the spare human. I bought a small home for myself and said to cats and moved a few days ago. I won't. Lee, this whole process was very tough for me emotionally. It was especially hard considering he was constantly hot and then cold. He would jump from name calling and trying to control who came over to our house to finding reasons to call me on the phone all day and joking around with me like nothing was wrong. I feel like I have emotional whiplash from the last 3 months of living with him while looking for a new place to live. At one point, he came home to see me eating a meal I just cooked during a break from packing. It was pretty disorganized, but I was in the middle of doing multiple things at the same time. He saw the mess and started yelling at me for it and throwing my things around the kitchen. Another day, he texted me asking me why I wasn't interested in where he had been spending his days off and later sheepishly asking if he would drop the open marriage demand. Would I ever consider trying again? Of course, I told him we were way past that, considering the multiple times he promised he would cheat on me if we didn't open the marriage. Also, I did get STD tested and came back clean as a whistle. I don't think he was already cheating, but he is damned embarrassed about this whole thing. He wants me to tell people he cheated on me when they ask why we are getting divorced instead of telling the truth of the matter. He was made aware in advance that after I moved and the divorce was finalized, I would be going no contact. I did all the legwork to make this happen, including getting all divorce paperwork and 2023 taxes filed, separating all bills and bank accounts, hiding the address to my new home, blocked him on all social media, and I will even be changing my phone number once everything is finalized. He feels that me going no contact is vindictive. No matter what he has said and done to hurt me, I still have a lot of love for this man. He doesn't deserve it, I know, but that is exactly why I need to go no contact. It's for my own peace and to maintain some semblance of self-respect. I can't tell him that because I don't want to give him or myself any false hope that we could work things out. I have no plans to be with anyone else in the near or distant future. I just want to work on building my confidence and get in a healthier mindset. I haven't gotten to counseling yet like many have suggested. I was in survival mode for the last 3 months so I could get out of that hellish situation. Now that I'm in my new house and getting unpacked, I'm sure I will be able to relax enough to start feeling better soon, and if I don't, I have every intention of seeking professional help. I have a huge support network between friends and family. Our shared friends were all on my side as well. Not that there is a true right or wrong in a situation like this, but one of his best friends telling him this was the biggest mistake of his life was incredibly validating. The only thing I regret from my relationship with him is staying as long as I did despite all the red flags I ignored throughout the years. I went into detail on some of them in the comments. All I know is that I'm feeling a mix of relief and grief. I just need some time to allow myself to heal. Out of our many conversations, he told me that 99% of open marriages fail because they were opened for failing marriages, and that since we had a great relationship, we would have been fine. I tried explaining to him that I learned from some of you guys that what he suggested was not an open marriage, but was parallel polyamory, and it was the most difficult form of polyamory to achieve. He didn't care and was only focused on convincing me to work it out with him. For me, there is nothing to work out. He wants to be with someone else and to fall in love again. So I am giving him the freedom to do that, but gracefully stepping back. As many have said, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. There isn't much more to say on the matter. I said I was leaving, and I did it. Here's to hoping 2024 is my year. My husband to 8M and I 29F have been together for 9 years, married for 7. We got a not-so-classic shotgun wedding to give ourselves better chances of receiving custody of his half-sister 10F when their mom suddenly passed away, despite only being 20 and 21 years old. We did receive full legal custody over her absent father. This information isn't super relevant to the current situation, but it really sets the tone of our relationship with the sacrifices we made together and the things we each had to give up personally to raise this beautiful little girl. We don't have any children together, but his sister is now 17 and moved in with an older, more financially privileged aunt last year. Over the past year of this newfound alone time, I feel like we have flourished each personally and as a couple. We never fight, arguments are rare, and we are pretty good at coming to understandings and apologizing when necessary. Basically, I feel we had a pretty healthy relationship. We each do little things for each other. I receive flowers no less than 10 times a year. We go on little vacations together and are generally really good. I guess a bit of the spark was sputtering out for a while, but I feel like that's normal for a relationship as long as ours. Fast forward to this past October. My husband seems like he has been depressed, which is normal for this time of year because of the timing of losing both his mom and dad in different years around the same time. The holidays are tough for him, so I get it and try to be there for him. He had previously planned a suicide attempt because of family issues before we met, so I take his mental health very seriously. He sits me down to have a serious conversation and starts it by saying he wants to open up our relationship. I felt my heart drop to my stomach but stayed silent and let him talk. He doesn't go into why, just jumps right into rules and explains how he wants me to find someone first before he starts looking for someone himself. When I asked him why, he couldn't explain it and fumbled his words. I asked him if he already had someone in mind for himself, and of course, he denies it. I couldn't help it. I definitely blew up. I was totally blindsided by this proposal. I slept on the couch after my outburst, and he didn't even try to come after me to explain anything, which kind of made me feel worse. I had never felt so unwanted in my life than in that moment. I have never given the impression that I was the kind of girl to be open to that kind of relationship. I will never judge anyone for wanting to live that kind of life, but it's just not for me. He went to work the next day, but I had the day off and really thought about my situation. After crying for hours, I came to the realization that this was the end for our marriage. Even suggesting an open marriage was a deal breaker for me, I realized. While he was still at work, I moved all his stuff out of our bedroom into his sister's old room, technically a spare room now. He comes home from work, ready to talk it out. After talking through more of why he wants this, I've come to realize several things. One, that he is way kinkier than he lets on and is disappointed with our bedroom life. He knows I'm not on the same level and doesn't want to push me past my boundaries to try things he knows I won't like. When I ask how he knows I won't like to try these new things, he explains they are an escalation of things he already knows I'm not down for but won't go into specifics. He also is unhappy with how infrequently we have sex but has never really put in the effort to change anything regarding it. Just complained over and over and expected me to just be ready to do the deed any minute of the day. He feels we have nothing in common now that his sister is gone. For context, he is more of the outdoorsy type, whereas I like to stay inside and read or play video games. I do venture out once in a while to do things he likes together and do genuinely enjoy them myself when I go like kayaking and skiing. I do understand that it isn't as often as he would like, though. Because we got married so young, there are a lot of things neither of us really got to experience or try, mostly sexually. He is mourning the loss of his young 20s and never getting to sleep around and explore his kinks. Part of the rules he explained was that we wouldn't technically be sleeping around with whoever we wanted. He called it an open marriage, but described it more as polyamory, where we would each have a boyfriend or girlfriend of our own that we went on dates and did things together. Someone we were each allowed to love and be with sexually. An emotional connection was pivotal for him, which broke my heart to pieces. During our talk, I told him I would never be able to look at him the same. I would never be enough for him, and he was basically trying to get a pass for guilt-free cheating in my eyes. I told him it sounded like he wanted to be with someone else without ever leaving the comfort of his marriage. Knowing he could date around and not worrying if those relationships would fail because he could just come home to me. He tried denying these things, saying he wanted to explore himself sexually but didn't want to lose me in the process. He tried getting me to agree to marriage counseling to talk about the open marriage concept. I told him just proposing an open marriage was grounds for divorce for me, and I wasn't willing to go to a counselor for them to gang up on me to try to bully me into trying it. I know in reality that never would have happened, but emotions were high in the moment. Because I told him I could never see him the same and how badly this crushed any self-confidence I may have had, he doubled down. He said if we go back into a relationship and pretend this never happened, then he would end up cheating on me. For him, it was open marriage or nothing. I chose nothing. Divorce papers were filed exactly 1 week later. He was very hurt, angry that I could jump right to divorce and kick him out of our bedroom so fast. But I refused to be a second choice or have to fight for his attention. I can't believe he is okay with the idea of another person being inside of me. He is willing to just give me up to explore his options. I can't believe I wasted so much of my time with him, helping him heal his family and raise his sister. I feel completely used. Advice. Did I overreact? Should I have waited longer before filing for divorce? Should I have just gone to marriage counseling, or was my gut instinct correct about the marriage being over? I still love and care about him, but my brain is screaming to be logical. We still live together while we are trying to figure out how to split everything, but now he is being super toxic and petty, saying hurtful things and then begging for personal details about my life. I need to get out of this house. How do I cope with these complicated feelings? TLDR. My husband blindsided me with wanting an open marriage, so I moved him to our spare bedroom while he wasn't home and filed for divorce a week later. Have you subscribed yet? Hit that like button, ring the bell so you never miss a thing, and help us grow. Your support means the world. Now, let's jump into the part you've all been waiting for, reading and reacting to your awesome comments. 1. The user Amahi said, he said if we go back into a relationship and pretend this never happened, then he would end up cheating on me. Continue on with the divorce. I wouldn't be surprised if there's someone on the side. Analysis, reflection. This comment hits like a gut punch because it's not just speculation, it's a pattern. The audacity of framing cheating as an inevitability rather than a choice. That's not honesty, that's emotional blackmail. And the immediate assumption that he already has someone lined up? Sadly, it's a common script men and people in general who drop the open relationship bomb often have a specific person in mind, or worse, they've already crossed lines. The commenter's bluntness isn't cynicism, it's experience speaking. 2. The user Khaki Value said, let me sleep around or I will absolutely cheat on you. Bro said that with his entire chest, thinking it was a reasonable and be a choice. I am so impressed by Up and her bravery, courage and dignity. Analysis, reflection. The tone here is sharp but deserved. The husband's ultimatum isn't a negotiation, it's a threat disguised as a boundary. And the commenter nails it. The sheer entitlement of believing this was ever a fair choice. What's striking is the praise for OP's resolve. Society conditions women to swallow disrespect for the sake of keeping the peace. So seeing someone walk away clean, decisive feels revolutionary. It's a reminder that bravery isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just refusing to bend. 3. The user underscore which said, he let her raise his sister and now that he doesn't need her anymore, might as well do what he wants. Analysis/reflection::of. This cuts deep because it frames the marriage as transactional. The comment implies he didn't just fall out of love, he used her. The sister's role here is key. She was the glue, the unspoken duty. Once that duty ended, so did his performance as a devoted husband. It's a grim observation, but one that echoes in stories of men who discard partners after they've served their purpose. The bitter truth: some people don't want equals. They want caretakers. 4. The user Professor Grudgeholder said, I was looking for this comment. He married her because he needed her. I saw this with a family friend. He filed for a divorce as soon as the youngest made it to high school. This isn't just a hypothetical, it's a lived nightmare. The commenter's anecdote confirms the worst. Some partners are emotional mercenaries. They marry for utility, not love. The detail about the divorce timing when the kids were grown exposes the calculation and the kicker. The ex-wife left with nothing but a car she couldn't afford. It's a stark warning. Love shouldn't come with an expiration date. 5. The user *ashamed-to63* said, what's really funny is that most guys that open the marriage are shocked to find out that the wife gets more attention, dates. Many even want to close the marriage again because they aren't getting the attention they wanted. The irony here is delicious. Men often push for open relationships assuming they'll be the ones thriving, only to realize the dating pool isn't as kind to them. The comment exposes a double standard. They want freedom and security, a backup plan in the form of a loyal wife. But the real gem here is the emphasis on consent. Ethical non-monogamy requires mutual enthusiasm, not coercion. The husband's tantrum when Op chose divorce proves he didn't want openness. He wanted control. 6. The user Mama_Odie said, it's so refreshing to see a woman go through something like this and handle it like a boss. And the way I wish that meant a permanent dryage on his balls. The humor here is cathartic. After so much heaviness, this comment is a middle finger wrapped in a laugh. But beneath the sass is a serious point. Women are often shamed for prioritizing self-respect over making it work. Celebrating OP's decisiveness isn't just support, it's pushback against the narrative that women should endure endlessly. And the curse, pure poetic justice. This thread is a masterclass in collective wisdom. The comments dissect the husband's behavior with surgical precision, exposing his entitlement, his likely infidelity, and his shock when Op refused to play along. But more than that, they highlight a cultural shift. Women are done romanticizing martyrdom. The applause for Op isn't just about her story. It's about every woman who's ever been told to settle, and the husband. He's a cautionary tale. Men like him underestimate the cost of their audacity until they're left with nothing but the consequences. For a woman who spent nearly a decade building a life with someone, the realization that love isn't always enough hits like a sucker punch. One conversation, one poorly explained, emotionally messy proposal, and just like that, the foundation crumbles. The man she married, the one who stood beside her through custody battles and grief and the chaos of raising a child when they were barely adults themselves, suddenly becomes a stranger. Worse, he becomes someone who looks at her and thinks, you are not sufficient. That's the thing about open marriage proposals. In monogamous relationships, they're rarely just about sex. They're about dissatisfaction, about longing for something else, about the quiet, knowing belief that the person you chose might not be the person after all. And when he sat her down, fumbling over his words, offering rules instead of reasons, she didn't just hear a suggestion. She heard a verdict. I want more, and you are not it. The aftermath was ugly, as these things tend to be. The whiplash of his moods, anger, desperation, petty cruelty followed by pathetic attempts at connection left her exhausted. 1 minute, he's yelling over a messy kitchen, throwing her things like a child in a tantrum. The next, He's texting, asking why she doesn't care where he spends his days, sheepishly floating the idea of reconciliation. As if she couldn't hear his threats and feel the way he weaponized the possibility of cheating to pressure her. Open marriage or nothing, he said, so she chose nothing. And he had the audacity to act surprised. There's a special kind of grief in loving someone who no longer deserves it. She knows he doesn't, knows his behavior, the manipulation, the volatility, the sheer lack of accountability should make it easy to walk away. But love isn't logical, it lingers in the hollow spaces, in the memories of flowers and laughter and the way they once fought the world together. Still, she refuses to romanticize the past. Because love, no matter how deep, shouldn't demand the surrender of self-respect. His friends sided with her. His own best friend told him this was the biggest mistake of his life. That validation matters, but it doesn't erase the sting of his final, ridiculous plea. Tell people I cheated. Not because he did, but because the truth that he demanded. Permission to love someone else while keeping her as a safety net is somehow more humiliating. For him, at least. For her, the truth is freeing. It's the confirmation that she made the right choice. Now, in a new home with her cats, the ones who always preferred her anyway, she allows herself to feel it all, the relief, the grief. The quiet pride in having walked away when every instinct screamed to cling tighter. She doesn't know what comes next. Therapy, probably. Time, definitely. And maybe, someday, the unshakable certainty that choosing herself was never an overreaction. It was the only choice that mattered. Because here's the thing about open marriage proposals. They don't kill relationships. They just reveal what was already dead. And she's alive. And that's enough.